with you.
Hello guys, in this opportunity I'm going to make a video just for helping you to be prepared to the derroteros activity. Okay, considering all the topics that we should know, so now we are going to start I'm going to start giving you some tips about the information that you in this moment really need. Okay, so for just getting prepared to the derroteros activity. Okay, and to prepare you for the third term. Okay, so as always I like using paint, okay, because I want to be so, how do you say that, I want you to see what I'm gonna do. Okay, so in this term you learn a little bit about object-oriented programming, okay, programación orientada a objetos in Spanish. Okay, so what is that? This is a way for programming in which you are going to have all your code, all what you are going to do in an organized way. So here we are going to start using that is called objects. Okay, objects. So that is too important to know that we are going to start working with objects. So this is going to help us to have a better programming. So what is an object? An object is something in which you are going to work with, okay, and this object has something that is called characteristics, okay, or attributes or characteristics. Okay, so these attributes belongs, okay, to the object. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so let's suppose that we have a car. Okay, so this is the object, and you know that with the car we have, for example, the brand, we have, for example, the color, we have, for example, the model, and we have, for example, a cilindraje. I really don't know how to say that in English. Okay, so this is, let me do it using some colors. This is the object name, okay, and these are the attributes. Okay, so here, for example, inside the brand you are going to put information. Okay, so let's suppose that here you are going to put Renault, okay, or you're going to put a Chevrolet or Mercedes-Benz or BMW. Okay, inside the color, so you are going to put red, blue, gray, green, so whatever you want. The model, so for example we have the last one, Mercedes-Benz blue car. Okay, and the motor is, for example, 3.5. okay, so a huge motor. Okay, so this is the way that you are going to know what is an object, and that is what we are going to start working with. Okay, so in this way you are going to have a better programming organization. Okay, so now with the objects we have something that is called functions or methods. So what is that? What is the actions that you are going to start using for changing the attributes of the object? Okay, so for example, let's suppose that we are going to have a car and you want to, let's suppose that you have a car, this Mercedes-Benz blue car. Okay, so let's suppose that you are going to your services, el taller, and you want to change the color. So now your car is not going to be blue, let's suppose that it's going to be black. So you are going to have a function or a method that is going to be called change color. So with this function or method you are going to change here the blue color for red color. Okay, so that is the functions are for. Okay, and until this moment that is so easy. Now the other thing that we saw in this term is how are you going to determine if something that you have is an object or not an object. Okay, So doing this, I taught you about something that is called the nouns, okay, sustantivos. So remember that a noun is everything that is about names. For example, I'm going to give you an example. For example, we have car. For example, we have Mercedes, Benz. Okay, I don't remember how to write that. Let's suppose that we have BMW. BMW. Let's suppose we have Chevrolet. Let's suppose we have Renault. Okay, and let's suppose we have trucks. Let's suppose we have David. Let's suppose we have Rojo. Let's suppose we have, okay, that's all. So all of them are nouns, okay, sustantivos, names, but not all of them are entities. Okay, why? For example, car is an entity, so here I'm going to put entities. Okay, entities. So why car is an entity? Because car has some characteristics that you are going to work with. Okay, so for that reason, car is an entity. Now, Mercedes-Benz is not an entity. Why? Because the Mercedes-Benz is the information that you are going to be able to put inside a brand. Okay, brand, marca. So this is information that you put here. The same BMW, the same Chevrolet. Okay, so Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Chevrolet, Renault is not an entity. It's a noun, but it's not an entity. Why? Because this is a characteristics of the brand, of the car, sorry. And what is the characteristics? The brand. Okay, so now we have truck. Yes, truck is an entity. Why? Because in trucks you have the same. You have brands, you have engine, you have color, you have the pounds or tons that the truck is going to carry, and you have characteristics for that noun. So that means that that is an entity. Okay, so David is a name, is a noun, but it's not an entity. Why? Because this is the name of for example, for a teacher or for a student. Okay, so this is not an entity, but it's a noun. And red, rojo, that is a, maybe this is a car characteristics, or maybe this is a truck characteristics. So rojo is not an entity, but it's a noun, but not an entity. So when you make the analysis and you notice that the noun that you are selecting is a characteristic, but is okay, if you find that that could be a characteristic, so that means that that is not an entity. Okay, so that's all. Okay, so after doing this, you are going to notice, okay, so we have an entity here. Let me use this one, and let me use this one. So here we have an entity that is called cars, and we always put it in plural, cars. Okay, and inside the cars we have the brand, we have the engine, we have the color, we have the model, and much more. Okay, so this is an entity, and this means that this is an object. Okay, this is an object. Okay, now what is that for? That is going to help us to identify, for example, if in our program that you are going to start developing, we are going to use, for example, databases. Okay, so for every entity that you have in your problem, every entity is going to be a table in our database. Okay, So now considering this, so here we have this table in our database that is called cars. Okay, the table is called cars. Okay, so you need to start thinking about, okay, how are we going to start developing our databases? So I am going to give you another example. Let's suppose that we have a car dealer. Okay, so if you don't know what is a car dealer, this is a concesionario. Okay, and let's suppose that we are going, this is the situation and this is the analysis that I'm going to do for you. Okay, so we have a car dealer in which we are going to sell only one brand. Okay, so we need to control how many cars do we have and how many car lines we have. So what is a car line? For example, we have the brand Renault. So let's suppose that we are going to sell just Renault cars, Renault. Okay, so let's see what is the characteristics in this brand. Okay, so this is the brand and we are going to work only with one brand, so that means that we are not going to use the brand as an entity or as a entity characteristics. Why? Because we are going to sell only one brand. If you have many brands, so that means that you are going to have a brand as a table. Why? Because maybe you are going to have Renault, Chevrolet, Mazda, Mercedes-Benz, BMW. So if you have different brands, so use a brand as a table, as an entity. But we are going to use only one brand. So that means that we are not going to use the brand as an entity to put it in our database. Okay, so let's see. We have Renault, but in Renault we have a car line. So I'm going to give you some examples. In car lines we have Sandero, for example. Sandero. We have, let's suppose that we are selling the oldest one, so we are going to Renault 4, we are going to sell Renault 6, Renault 18. Let's suppose that we have, okay, all the Renaults that you already know. So this is the car line, so that means that the car line is going to be a characteristic of our car. Okay, so I'm going to start doing this. Okie dokie. Okay, those are gonna be our cars. Let's put it like this, cars. Okay, so what is the characteristic, or the first characteristic we have here is the car line. What else do we have here? Yes, we can have the color, we have the engine, we can have the model. So remember, the model is if that car is for the 1980 or is going to be for 2021. So that is the information that we are going to have, and the prices. Okay, so that is the information that we are going to have. And let's suppose here, no, that is going to be too simple. If we want to control how many cars do we have, this is the okay, this is the information that we are going to have. Now how are you going to identify the cars as individuals? Okay, so every car is, here we are missing one. Okay, chassis, for example. Okay, okie dokie. But this is what we are going to start analyzing right now, because maybe here you are going to start having the car lines repeated. Why? Let's suppose that here we have a Sandero, and for that Sandero we have the Sandero in color blue. okay? But let's suppose that you have another sendero and that is going to be in red. So here you're going to start having your information repeated. So that means that we need to avoid having car line here, and we are going to create, okay, another entity that is going to be called car line, okay? And here we are going to put the chassis, because every car has a different chassis. Maybe it's the same chassis, but the serial number of the chassis is going to be different, okay? And okay, I think that is the information. Obviously here we're going to have the ID of the chassis, and no more, okay? And obviously we are going to have a line connection to have the tables connected, and in that way you're going to be able, for if you want to identify any chassis, so you are going to identify which is the car that chassis belongs to, okay? So that is everything that we have learned until this moment, and as the last part of this video is this, okay? You are going to use, as you know, the 1P, and in the 1P you are going to start creating the databases, and obviously we are going to start doing the classes in PHP, okay? So until this part of the video I am going to show you here how to create the databases. So you enter here, okay? You are going to go to PHP MyAdmin, and here inside PHP MyAdmin the user is root, the password is empty, so you are going to click on continuar, and here you are going to be able for creating the databases. So let's suppose that here I'm going to create a new database, and I'm going to put the Reggiosemi cars. Let's suppose that this is going to be my database, and I'm going to put it UDF8 Spanish and clear. So here I have the database created. Now I'm going to click on the database and I'm going to create, for example, the table. So now the table that we are going to start having is going to be called car line, okay? Car underline line. And how many columns I'm going to have? In this case, just 2. So here I'm going to put 2 just for now and continuar. And here I'm going to put the ID car line. This is going to be as integer, and here we are going to put it as a primary key, okay? Yes, continuar. And here we are going to have the chassis number that is going to be as a bar chart, and let's put it 50. Then I'm going to click here in guardar, and here I have the table, okay? So this is what you learn in this second term, okay? So I'm going to do another video in which I'm going to explain you how to create this in PHP. So we are going to create classes in PHP, okay? So remember that in object-oriented programming we use classes, and the classes has objects, and the object has characteristics, and the characteristics, or for changing the characteristics you are going to use methods, okay? So that is going to be a second part of this video. So thank you for being here. So let's meet in the next video. Bye bye.